Welcome to Pop Culture Fridays. I'm Troy. Happy Friday. This week, 3 topics that I mentioned at the car wash yesterday in the short. Topic number 1. You've probably been getting a lot of emails about open enrollment. If you're not from the States, this is how it works. You have a small window, 2 weeks to a month or 6 weeks or whatever it is, each year to enroll in health insurance that you can go to the doctor without paying hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever the bill is. Now, why do they do that? Well, first of all, because it's bullshit and it's a scam and they just want you to play along with their rules. It keeps them in power. And the second reason that I found online, I'm going to explain to you why I think the reason open enrollment happens, but I still think it's bullshit. It's called adverse selection, and that's basically when sick people are buying health insurance, but poor people aren't. Now, from a business sense, it makes sense, it's understandable that if you spend more money than you have money coming in, you go out of business. But why is it a bad thing if health insurance companies go out of business? They're worm-tonguing us and making us think that they're necessary. But are they necessary? Let me tell you a quick little story here. I was once involved with someone who had cancer, and although we had health insurance, we were denied it because they claimed that it was a pre-existing condition. Now, I know pre-existing conditions, you're not allowed to do that now, but this was 2004, and you were. So it's only a recent thing. Cut to the end here, we ended up putting her cancer surgery on our credit card. From the plains of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee. Bullshit. It's bullshit. It's a way that they get you to think that they're important, and they're not. You should be able to see a doctor when you're sick. Okay, so let's say adverse selection is bad for business for the health insurance companies. So should we just put all the sick people in a pile and light them on fire and we don't have to deal with it? How about anybody who gets sick, we just shoot them in the back of the head? That way insurance companies can make all the money they want. And then, they go public, which they do, and they have to increase profits every year, but under the law, it's the law. Now, if I'm getting any of this wrong, which is, it's definitely possible. I don't think I am so far, but if I do, please comment below. Now, I don't mean to get riled up about this, but having a history of paying for cancer surgery on a credit card and other procedures that have gone on a credit card, you tend to be a little bit angry, and I think justifiably so. I hope your Friday is going well. Topic number 2. The Pfizer CEO says that we will need a 4th COVID vaccine shot. Listen, if scientists want to say this, okay. And even if he is a scientist, even if he was the foremost expert on COVID and coronaviruses, and he knew everything there is to know, and he was the almighty Gandalf wizard of COVID and COVID vaccines, you cannot be someone who has influence like that, going in the media, probably talking to policymakers. You cannot be that person and be a person who's going to gain financially from that opinion becoming policy or being encouraged or involved in like vaccine passports or whatever. You can't. That's a conflict of interest. I'll give you a second to look up the definition of conflict of interest. It's already difficult enough to get everyone on the same page in terms of all the information, all the stuff we're supposed to believe, all of the ways out of this thing. It doesn't help when you have the CEO of a company that's going to make money, who, by the way, sponsors programs and shows on big media corporations. Do you need to see that clip again? Show it.
America is brought to you by Pfizer.
CBS Health Watch sponsored by Pfizer.
Anderson Cooper 360. Brought to you by Pfizer.
ABC News Nightline. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Making a difference. Brought to you by Pfizer.
CNN Tonight. Brought to you by Pfizer.
You need a third party making this kind of assertion on TV. Why are they even inviting him on to talk about this? You talk about the operation, talk about the process. We don't care about this person's opinion. Well, I say we don't. I don't know if you do, but you tell me if you think I'm wrong about this. But it just seems like a big mistake to put all of our eggs into that arena. Eggs in the arena. Did you know that Fridays come after Thursday? Topic number 3. So let's just say that a close personal friend of mine has been doing gig economy work here, driving Uber, driving DoorDash, doing Shipt, things like that. And let's just say there's been a problem here in the Metro Detroit area of tipping. Tipping is a sensitive thing. If you work in the service industry, there are a couple different camps that you can go in. First camp, you live in a state where you actually get a decent wage. Being part Oregonian and part Michigander, I can tell you that there's a huge difference between those two states. For example, in Oregon, everyone gets $14 or $15 an hour. Now, we can sit here and argue about whether you think that's fair or not, or whether you think that those kind of mandates should be imposed on an employer. But I'll tell you what's not fair is in Michigan, to compare, the minimum wage is $10 an hour, but the service industry workers, bartenders, servers, bus persons, they make $3 an hour. I think bartenders maybe make $5 an hour, something like that. There's a difference. So why are they allowed to be paid less? If you're going to have a mandate, whether you agree with it or not, why does it apply to some people in some professions and not others? I'll let you think about that for a second. Let me tell you another quick little story. I've worked in a lot of restaurants, and I genuinely loved all of the people that I work with. They're wonderful people. But whenever I tried to bring about the comparison between Oregon and Michigan, namely $14, $15 an hour versus $3 an hour plus tips, and the tips were actually better in Portland, it was met with resistance. Now, why does that happen? I don't know. Maybe it's just what you're used to. The culprit. Squeaky toy, squeaky husky. I suppose it's what you're used to, and you end up defending it sometimes, even if it's maybe not the better of the two options. In any case, I found this article about should I tip? And it throws more confusion into this service industry tipping gumbo, because the example that's first given is about a person that went to have her carpets cleaned, and at the end it had a tipping option on a $700 bill, and she said she didn't think that she should be tipping, and she kind of got blasted for it by most people. I think there's a difference there. First of all, carpet cleaning people, moving people, they're paid at minimum wage, which isn't great. In Michigan, for example, it's $10, maybe $9 or $10 an hour, somewhere around there. That's different than feeling required to tip people who are making $3 an hour. Don't believe me? $3 an hour? You don't believe me that it's $3 an hour in Michigan? Not tipping a carpet cleaning person, I mean, I guess, you do tip movers and you do tip people who come over and do things like that, work. Maybe you give your mail person a Christmas present. That's fine, I'm not against that. But there's a difference, is all I'm saying. Let's just say that this person I'm talking about drives Uber in Detroit. Detroit is not a very resourceful place, and I understand that. When you're taking people from Detroit, a poorer neighborhood, to their job at Dollar Tree, I understand why you're not tipping. That's fine. So when you go into the suburbs, they don't need Uber because they have their own car and they're much more affluent. So when you go into the suburbs, you try door dashing or you try Shipt or something like that. And when you're still having a trouble with tipping, I feel like maybe there's a larger cultural issue here. Like, for example, maybe the people in the richer, more affluent sections of the city, they've never had to work jobs like that. I mean, those jobs weren't around when they were coming up, but there were still restaurant jobs or barista jobs, but they never had to do them, so they don't understand how important it is. Now, the point of this isn't to scold people. If you can't afford to tip, don't tip. That's fine. But if you can afford, for example, to have a large order from Fresh Time, if you don't know that, it's like a local Whole Foods type place, and you can get organic pressed juice and you can have a $150, $200 bill, you can afford to throw $10 or $15 at your shopper. So let me know what you think. If you're a service industry worker who's been decimated by the pandemic, like so many of us, let me know what you think. How are you doing? How are you coping? Are you switching to other gigs like the delivery or the driving type gigs? Let me know what you think. And if you have any thoughts about the Pfizer CEO or the healthcare thing, I'd love to hear it. Put it below. Well, that's it for Pop Culture Fridays. I hope you have a wonderful Friday. It's the last Friday before Christmas, and I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday and Happy Hanukkah. All of the things. I hope you have a great 2022. I will see you next Friday. Until then, enjoy life. It goes quickly.